And you know what? One thing that we haven't touched on really all that much is how much Tampa is their success rate on the power play is just it's at a point where now where if you're Carolina, you need to be disciplined. If you're even giving them one or two power plays, like I'd say it's I'm not sure the exact stat, and I saw something the other day that said Colorado and Tampa are both at like almost 50% on the power play. Like it's fucked up how much they're
like 40 or 42%.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like if you're the Golden Knights or you're Carolina, if you stick to just playing disciplined hockey and you're not ending up in the box, then you're taking away an aspect of the other team's offense completely. And if that's like, let's say like 1/3 of their game, that's a decent amount of their style of play that they like to have teams play into that you're taking away, and you're essentially making it way easier for yourself to win games. Like, I mean, it was the other night when Colorado won game 2 in overtime. Vegas was outplaying them big time for about a period and a half, and then you put Colorado on the power play and Mikko Rantanen just rips it. And it's like you cannot give these guys an inch because they're capitalizing off of the tiniest little mistakes. So if you can't play a clean game, then you're probably not going to survive against these teams, which is it's feast or famine, you know?
Dude, I'm glad you brought that up because, I mean, Carolina, in the Carolina series, Carolina has been by far the better team 5-on-5, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But also, I think the game yesterday, the penalties were 6. Tampa Bay had 6 power plays or 7 power plays to Carolina's 2 or 3. So a big discrepancy there. And, I mean, I have a bit of a problem. Like, you can always say stay disciplined, don't take penalties. Man, if you fucking look at what they're calling versus what they're not calling, like it's impossible to discern what's a penalty, what's not. It seems really arbitrary when they call penalties, what they call penalties on.
Yeah.
Like Kotkaniemi got a penalty on a hit in the Winnipeg series for roughing, and it was like, what the fuck? Like I've seen people sit on another guy's head for 15 seconds and not get a penalty.
Yeah.
And he just took the guy down and then like pushed him to the ice, and it was like, oh yeah, 2 minutes. So it's like you can say stay disciplined, stay out of the box, but like, dude, I don't even know if it's a discipline thing. You'd kind of just have to get lucky with what the refs call, it feels like, because it really, like, you could pick out, like, Svechnikov got a penalty the other night for roughing, and he like did elevate a little bit to the head of the person he was hitting. I forget who, but like literally at the same time, Aho just got decked with a cross check in the back, and it's like, man, like those are both penalties. One gets called, and Tampa Bay or Carolina, I feel like, has been on the wrong end of those. Like in the Nashville series, they had almost half the power plays that Nashville had in that series. And it's like against Nashville, like their penalty kill was money, but against Tampa Bay, their penalty kill has still been good. It's just Tampa Bay's power play is better.
Exactly.
And so it's hard to say, like, how do you not take penalties when you don't even know what's going to be a penalty? And then if you really do play penalty free, it feels like you're just putting yourself at a massive disadvantage because the other team is taking those penalties and gaining an advantage from it because they're not getting called all the time. So it's a tough one there. But I mean, having a great power play, that you can say Carolina's power play hasn't been great. They haven't had as many opportunities, but they really do need to take advantage of those man advantages. To get back, because Tampa Bay will.
Yeah, I was gonna say, with you talking about the refs, it just shows you that it's just with the Tim Peel earlier this year. It's not just him, man. That's why like firing him was not like the right thing to do. But, well, I mean, you argue that whatever you want, but it just shows that it's kind of just a deep-seated issue throughout the whole NHL with the way refs have always just learned. Like, it's almost like an apprentice thing, I'm pretty sure, how you get into the NHL. Like, there's junior refs, and then, like, you eventually, like, move your way up, just kind of, like, learning the game. Like, you might start as a linesman and then become a referee, calling penalties and stuff. But yeah, there's something they need to go back to school or something, because this is getting ridiculous, deciding these games in the playoffs where they're just calling based on what they think. Oh, you deserve a penalty at this point? Yeah, okay. And I agree completely.
Yeah. And I don't remember it being this bad in the past. Maybe I'm paying more attention to it now, but it is like genuinely frustrating to watch at times where it's like in a 2-minute in like one shift by like say first line against first line, you can pick out like 5 or 6 penalties. Like Kevin Bieksa did a highlight on a Kucherov shift a couple games back, and he's like talking about how he plays with bite, and like that's a positive, right? He showed I think 6 clips, 3 of which were penalties that just didn't get called, right? And so if they don't get called, that's 100% positive, right? You're getting away with stuff, and you're making it hard to play against you. But if they do get called, it's like, oh well, that's undisciplined. And it really doesn't feel like there's any rhyme or reason to what gets called and what doesn't. I genuinely think both the refs should just go to the team and say, hey, we're going to call 3 penalties on you this game. We're not going to tell you why or for what or when we're going to call them, but each of you are going to get 3 power plays, and we're just going to leave it at that, because that's kind of what it feels like at this point.
Yeah.
It's up for just a coin toss every single call.